Support for this show comes from Wake Forest Baptist Health, the exclusive healthcare sponsor of the Martha Bassett Show. Wake Forest Baptist Health, whose physicians and researchers are working to invent tomorrow's treatments today. More at wakehealth.edu.
Hi, I'm Martha Bassett, and I want to welcome all of our new listeners in Chattanooga and the Tennessee Valley at 88.1 WUTC. You're our first audience outside of our home in the Piedmont of North Carolina, and we couldn't be more excited. Thanks to the entire team at WUTC for bringing us on board and for their commitment to wonderful and eclectic music programming. To celebrate, we have a great show from June 3rd of this year, which features Dom Flemons, Sarah Kate Morgan, and the Dan River Girls. The band was Rex McGee on fiddle and banjo, Fiona Burdette on cello and mandolin, and Pat Lawrence, our announcer, on bass. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Martha Bassett Show, coming to you from the historic Reeves Theater in Elkin, North Carolina, a home for music in the heart of the foothills. The Martha Bassett Show features national artists, local talent, and the music of Martha Bassett. Tonight we're thrilled to have Dom Flemons, Sarah Kate Morgan, and the Dan River Girls. This was a great night at the Reeves with some of the finest Americana music you'll hear anywhere. Let's get started with Martha and the band, joined by the Dan River Girls on this 1959 Patsy Cline hit, Got a Lot of Rhythm in My Soul.
Come on, Dad, get with the jive. Let's let 'em know that we're alive. Until the break of dawn, we'll yell for more, more, more. Gonna live it up and tear it down, in the groove and paint the town. Got a lot of rhythm in my soul. Well now, baby, baby, let's go tonight, together you and me. Baby, baby, when you hold me tight, ooh-wee, what you do to me? The big black hands on the clock tell me that it's time to rock. Got a lot of rhythm in my soul. Dance from 2 to 3 and then a 4:30. When that sun peeks over the hill, I won't stop, I'll be rocking still. Got a lot of rhythm in my soul. Well now, baby, baby, let's go tonight, together you and me. Baby, baby, when you hold me tight, ooh-wee, what you do to me? The big black hands on the clock tell me that it's time to rock. Got a lot of rhythm in my soul. Got a lot of rhythm in my soul. Thank you to the Dan River Girls for being the Jordanaires to my Patsy Cline. And thank all of you for being here and tuning in to our third show of season 4. It's Trail Days here in Elkin, North Carolina, and I want to especially welcome all of you who are in Elkin to enjoy the trails. Thanks to the Reeves for allowing us to have this slightly larger audience. It's so thrilling to see so many more people here, so this is a sign of things to come very soon. Our first guest tonight is the 2012 National Mountain Dulcimer Champion. She was on our show back in season 1, and I've been trying really hard to get her back ever since then. Will you please welcome back, all the way from Kentucky, Sarah Kate Morgan.
Thanks, Martha. Hey, Martha.
Hello. What shall we do now?
We're going to do a song that was sung and made popular and made famous by 2 amazing matriarchs of bluegrass music. So it feels really appropriate to sing this with you. Hazel Dickens and Alice Gerrard. This is Won't You Come and Sing for Me. upon me, and bright angels beckon me. Before I go, dear Christian brothers, won't you come and sing for me? Sing those hymns we sang together in that plain little church with benches all worn. How dear to my heart, how precious the moments we stood shaking hands and singing our songs. My burden is heavy, my way has grown weary. I have traveled the road that is long, and it would ease this old heart, dear brother, if you come and sing one song. Sing those hymns we sang together in that plain little church with benches all worn. How dear to my heart, how precious the moments we stood shaking hands and singing our songs. And in my home beyond the dark river, your sweet face is no more will I see. Until we meet where there's no more sad parting, won't you come and sing for me? Sing those hymns we sang together in that plain little church with benches all worn. How dear to my heart, how precious the moments we stood shaking hands and singing our songs. We stood shaking hands and singing our songs.
Sarah Kate, I heard that you first played dulcimer when you were 7 years old on an instrument that your grandfather built.
That's correct. Yeah, my grandfather, he was, when he retired, he picked up oil painting and woodworking, and he bought a dulcimer kit. And unfortunately, he put the kit together backwards. So if I do it wrong, it's not my fault, is what I tell people. Yeah.
So you grew up in Tennessee.
Yeah.
How did you make your way to Kentucky?
Yeah, well, I went to school in Kentucky at Morehead State and studied traditional Appalachian music and Appalachian studies, and I've just been there ever since. I liked it so much. Since then, I've lived in Carter County, Kentucky, but now I live in Hindman, Kentucky, which is close to Harlan. It's been a really lovely 5 years because it's just the scene and the old-time music scene in Kentucky is really strong and supportive.
So what is the name of the next song? I know that it's new because it didn't have a title when you sent it to us.
This song is called All Your Secrets, and it was a song that I wrote as part of a songwriting assignment. Our assignment was to write a country song, and so this song, I grew up watching the Andy Griffith Show every single day at 4 o'clock on Channel 10, 2 episodes every single day. I've seen every single episode, every single season. I can quote every single episode. If you quiz me, I will absolutely nail it. Nothing else in my life is that way, but I have that down. And so this song was very loosely based on a character from the Andy Griffith Show, and I guess you can see if you can guess it. Well, nothing much happens in this town no more since you packed up your guitar and walked out my door. Your songs, they're a-playing on my radio. This town would have held you down. You went off to Nashville to sing out your heart, sending money home to Mama. You're doing your part. ago. We gathered in our kitchens and watched how it glowed. We saw Nixon, we saw Woodstock, we saw the man on the moon. But then you came on singing a tune, and you gave away all of your secrets in the very first song that you played. The lights, they were dim. You were reeling me in. You're singing all of the words you can't say. You wrote me a letter right after you'd gone. But after 3 years of red carpets, you don't write at all. It seems you've forgotten the muses you've had, but I still hear this town in your songs. And you gave away all of your secrets in the very first song that you played. The lights, they were dimmed. You were reeling me in. You're singing all of the words you can't say. You're singing all of the words you can't say.
Sarah Kate Morgan.
The Martha Bassett Show is supported in part by Explore Elkin, a source of travel information for downtown Elkin, the Yadkin Valley, and beyond. Downtown Elkin features historic landmarks, Main Street shopping, and fine dining. More at exploreelkin.com or on Facebook. The Dan River Girls are a sister trio from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. The Burdettes, Jessie on fiddle, Fiona on mandolin and cello, and Ellie on bass. They've been regulars on the show since we began, and Jessie, the youngest, was 14. Here they are with Bluegrass Breakdown into Gold Rush. Now, would you give a big hand for the Dan River Girls?
The Dan River Girls.
Dom Flemons is no stranger to these parts, being a founding member of the Carolina Chocolate Drops. He is also known as the American Songster, since his repertoire of music covers over 100 years of early American popular music. He's considered an expert player on the banjo, guitar, harmonica, jug, percussion, quills, fife, and rhythm bones. And most recently, Dom was selected for the prestigious 2020 United States Artists Fellowship Award for the Traditional Arts.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me, Martha. And so much wonderful music on this stage here tonight. It's wonderful to be able to join you. Now, I'm going to start off with a little piece that I learned many years ago from a fiddler from Alamance County, a fellow by the name of Joe Thompson. And this is a piece called Old Cindy Gal. Now, I'm not going to play it on fiddle and banjo like I learned it originally. I changed it around a bit. I changed it so it could feature the rhythm bones and the harmonica. Old Cindy Gal. Oh, Cindy Gal, oh, Cindy Gal, oh, Cindy Gal, wait stay last night. Oh, Cindy Gal, oh, Cindy Gal, oh, Cindy Gal, you done crossed the river last night.
Thank you, Dom.
Thank you, Martha.
So you released a record in 2018 on Smithsonian Folkways called Dom Flemons Presents Black Cowboys.
That's correct.
And you are from Arizona.
Yep, from Phoenix, Arizona, born and raised.
So do you have cowboy roots?
Well, you know, it's a funny thing, Martha. I didn't think I had cowboy roots at first. And part of the reason I started the project was two different things. I found a book years back when I was traveling. When I was still living in North Carolina. I was traveling out west back to Arizona, and I found around the Painted Desert Park, the state park, I found a book called The Negro Cowboys in the gift shop. And it spoke about how about 1 in 4 cowboys who helped settle the West were African American cowboys. And I hadn't heard that before. And so in the course of reading that book, I then came across an album of field recordings of John and Alan Lomax, and it featured a lot of black cowboy songs sung by some of the early people that they recorded in the 1930s. And so with those two sort of pieces of historical, items, ephemera and music all together, I started searching and finding stories, and the album was sort of a way to be able to comprehensively talk about Black Western culture in a way. But it expanded out much farther than just cowboys. And when you ask about my cowboy roots, as I started to read about some of these early pioneers, I began to think about my father's parents who came out from East Texas and Arkansas and how they came out to Flagstaff, Arizona. And my grandfather particularly, he started a church in a town called Holbrook, Arizona, out on Route 66. And he was a sawmill worker 6 days a week, and he was a preacher of the Church of God in Christ on Sunday. And so thinking about all that stuff, it then turned into a much bigger idea of westward expansion and the idea of people moving from one place to the other to build a better life. And so I found I did have cowboy roots after all.
That's really interesting. Do you have a cowboy song to share with us?
Yeah, I've got one of the songs I wrote for the Black Cowboys album. This is one that I wrote after reading the autobiography of one of the famous black cowboys of the West, a fellow by the name of Nat Love. And he was a fellow who was born into slavery, and after emancipation, he became a cowboy. And then after doing that for several decades, he actually got disgusted when the West began to get fenced off. And he then became a Pullman porter, working on the railroad line, living in Chicago. And so that transition of life from working a horse and buggy in the field all the way into working as a Pullman porter on the train line, that was such a big jump to me that all of a sudden I realized that the black cowboys didn't disappear, they just evolved into something else. And that was in of itself a different way of thinking of American history. And so that's why I ended up writing this song. Because my grandfather passed away before I got to really ask him about these things. Because he told me a little bit about growing up on the farm, but like a lot of people who grew up on the farm that move away from it, he wasn't interested in really going back to talk about it. And so he didn't really tell me much about that. But when I began to tell my father about it, all of a sudden my dad told me a story he'd never told me before. He told me that he apprenticed as a Pullman porter before he came down to Phoenix, where I was born and raised. And so I found there was an elaborate story of that Pullman porter culture that went through my own family culture. And so I started trying to think about that and wrote this little song here. I caught my steel pony, and boys, I'm gonna ride. When you get down to Holbrook, you won't find me there. Good Lord, I caught the first thing smoking down the road somewhere. Caught the first thing smoking down the road somewhere. 'Cause I caught my steel pony and boys, I'm gonna ride. Getting far too old to follow this here herd. Good Lord, I caught the first thing smoking down the road somewhere. Caught the first thing smoking down the road somewhere. 'Cause I caught my steel pony and boys, I'm gonna ride. Go ahead and get 6. Now they call me Mr. Flemons, 'cause I'm a pull porter now. Good Lord, I caught the first thing smoking down the road somewhere. Caught the first thing smoking down the road somewhere. 'Cause I caught my steel pony and boys, I'm gonna ride. Go on down the trail. Now they call me Mr. Flemons, 'cause I done told that guitar down. Good Lord, I caught the first thing smoking down the road somewhere. Now when you get over there, you won't find me, 'cause I called them steel pony and boys, I'm going to ride. Get on down there one more time, 6. Yep.
Mr. Dom Flemons. It's intermission time here at the Reeves Theater in Elkin, North Carolina. The Martha Bassett Show is produced in collaboration with listener-supported 88.5 WFDD, public radio for the Piedmont.
We hope you're enjoying the show. When you come to visit us, make sure you stop by the shops at 150 East Market Street, where you'll find Dirty Joe's Coffee, the Smoothie Station, Gwynn and Market Mercantile, and the Barkery, home of Melissa's all-natural pet treats. The shops at 150 East Market Street, where you're sure to find something for everyone. Welcome back to the second half of the Martha Bassett Show, featuring Dom Flemons, Sarah Kate Morgan, and the Dan River Girls. We'd like to give a big welcome to all of our new listeners in Chattanooga and the Tennessee Valley on 88.1 WUTC. Remember, you can follow the entire schedule, listen to past radio shows, and subscribe to our podcast at marthabassettshow.com. Now, let's get back to the Reeves stage with Martha and Sarah Kate Morgan.
Sarah Kate?
Thank you so much, Martha Bassett.
You know, it occurred to me backstage that there might be some folks in the audience who are not familiar with the instrument you're playing.
Yeah, sure.
Will you
I can
tell
talk
us a
about
little?
it.
Yeah, please do.
It's one of my many favorite subjects. This is called the mountain dulcimer. It's a traditional Appalachian instrument. It's the state instrument of Kentucky. For those of you who are listening, you're just hearing 3 strings. There's 3 strings on the instrument. It has a diatonic fretboard, which means I don't have a lot of the notes that other instruments do, because I don't need them. Okay. But it's a traditional Appalachian instrument related to the zither and the shyholt that are European instruments, yeah.
Well, you sure play it well.
Oh, thank you so much.
Well, do you have another song for us?
Sure. Speaking of songwriting and sort of Kentucky songwriting, this is a song that was written by Jean Ritchie, who is sort of the matriarch of the mountain dulcimer. She ushered the mountain dulcimer into the public consciousness around the folk movement. And she was from my neck of the woods, from over in Vapor, Kentucky. And this is a song she wrote called West Virginia Coal Mine Disaster. And it's based on a mining disaster that happened in 1968 in the Hominy Falls, a number 8 mine in West Virginia, where a continuous mining machine punched through the wall of an active mine into an uncharted abandoned mine that had filled up with water. And it ended up stranding many miners for up to 10 days. And this was a song that she wrote sort of talking about the experience of being the family of a coal miner. And there's lots of coal mining still happening in eastern Kentucky, and they're always finding new ways to extract value from Appalachia. But Jean really lent her voice to this and the female experience. And I'm going to finish it up with a fiddle tune called Goodbye Honey, I'm Gone. It's a Bath County, Kentucky tune. Oh, say, did you see him? It was early this morning. He passed by your houses on his way to the cold. He was tall, he was slender, and his dark eyes so tender. His occupation was mining, West Virginia his home. It was just before noon, I was feeding the children when Mosley came running to bring us the news. Number 8 was all flooded, many men were in danger, and we don't know their number, but we fear they're all doomed. So I picked up the baby and I left all the others to comfort each other and to pray for their own. There is Tommy, 14, and there's John, not much younger, and their time soon is coming to go down the dark hole. And if I had the money to do more than just feed them, I'd give them good learning, the best could be found. So when they growed up, they'd be checkers and weighers, and not spend their whole lives in the dark underground. Poor little children, and what will I tell to his mother at home? And what will I say to my heart that's clear broken, to my heart that's clear broken? Now my darling is gone.
you're just tuning in, that was Sarah Kate Morgan on the mountain dulcimer. Now, here's Jessie Burdett leading the Dan River Girls on the Haley Hendricks song, Shalala.
The milk is sour, I've barely been to college, and I've been doubtful of all that I have dreamed of. The brink of my existence essentially is a comedy, the gap in my teeth, and all that I can cling to. The milk is sour. Shalala, 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 shalala. Milk is sour with olives on my thumbs, and all that I have stuck to and all that I have clung to. I felt like a dog. This world that I have trusted is bent over and busted and rusted by an arbitrary sonogram. Shalala, 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 milk is sour with olives on my thumbs, and I've been doubtful of all that I have clung to. The brink of my existence essentially is a comedy, the gap in my teeth, and all that I have clung to. The milk is sour. Shalala, 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 shalala. If you never go outside, well, nothing's gonna happen. She'll never write her number on a crumpled up napkin. She'll never be your ego. She'll never be a bandit. She'll never get to eat you like your heart's a pomegranate. I'm throwing out the milk. The olives got old. I'm tired of my mind getting heavy with mold. I need to start a garden. 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 I'm gonna start a garden in my backyard. I'm gonna start a garden in my backyard. 'Cause making this song up is just as hard. Yeah, making this song up is just as hard. Shalala, 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 shalala.
Wake Forest Baptist Health is the exclusive healthcare sponsor of the Martha Bassett Show. Wake Forest Baptist Health has more than 300 primary care and specialty locations throughout the region, and a world-class team providing comprehensive care in cancer, orthopedics, cardiovascular health, and more. wakehealth.edu. The Martha Bassett Show is supported in part by the shops at 150 East Market Street in downtown Elkin, with Dirty Joe's Coffee, the Smoothie Station, Quinn and Market Mercantile, and the Barker, home of Melissa's all-natural pet treats.
Now, since I was able to drive down, I was able to bring my good friend Big Head Joe with me. Now, Big Head Joe is a unique banjo. He's a one-of-a-kind six-string banjo, a guitar banjo. Now, most guitar banjos are a little bit smaller than this one, but Big Head Joe is a custom-made instrument that was made in the late teens, early 1920s. He's about 100 years old now, and he was created to be a part of the Clef Club Orchestra, which was an orchestra that broke the color line in Carnegie Hall back in 1912. And it was led by a fellow who was a veteran of the First World War, a fellow by the name of James Reese Europe. And he introduced ragtime to New York City for the very first time. And so what James Reese Europe did is that he presented an orchestra of banjos. I mean, can you believe it? 120 banjos pitched to the different parts of the orchestra. I know some people are like, bless his heart for doing that, you know, but 2 banjos sometimes can be a lot, you know, but 120, he had mandolin banjos, he had regular 5-strings, small 5-strings, piccolo banjos, and then he even had harp guitar banjos, and then even banjos like this one, which is sort of like the second tier from the bottom. And this has just a beautiful sound to it. And I had to pick this thing up because of this. And this beautiful sound. Also, one of the very first bluesmen to make popular records who was self-accompanied. Papa Charlie Jackson played a banjo similar to this one as well. And I also had to champion a little bit of that cause. But today I'm going to do a song that comes from a songster by the name of Henry Thomas. And at one point you might have heard his song Fishin' Blues. A lot of people have done that song. Taj Mahal, Lovin' Spoonful, and a lot of people. But I'm going to do one of his old square dance numbers, one called Charmin' Betsy. And I'm going to play an instrument that Henry Thomas featured on his early recordings, an instrument called the quills, which are known as the panpipes in many parts of the world, but the Americanized version is known as the quills. And, well, with this combination, I'll just have to show you why I had to pick up both of these instruments.
Betsy, going round the mountain to a lead. If I never see you no more, do Lord remember me. First time I seen Charmin' Betsy, want everything that you see. Last time I seen Charmin' Betsy, she wearing that ball and chain. Yes, I'm going round the mountain, Charmin' Betsy, going round the mountain to a lead. If I never see you no more, do Lord remember me. Going round the mountain to a lead. If I never see you no more, do Lord remember me. Now Charmin' Betsy's going on down the line, wine glass in her hand, going after her old man. These are the very words she said. She's gonna say, oh my babe, take me back. I'm done the world, Lord, take me back. Sunday morning won't seem wrong. You gonna call me, I'll be gone. She turned around 2 and 3 times, said, my babe, take me back, take me back, take me back. Well, my babe, take me back. Make me one pal on your floor, make me one pal on your floor. Oh, make a pallet soft and low. Won't you make it so your man will never know? Oh, make it so your man will never know. Make it so your man will never know. Oh, make a pallet soft and low. Won't you make it so your man will never know? 'Cause I'm looking for that bully of the town. Looking for that bully of the town. I'm looking for that bully can't be found. I'm looking for that bully, lay me down.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I'm going to do just one last one for you in my set here tonight. And once again, it's been a pleasure to be on the Martha Bassett Show with you. And this is a piece that I've gotten to play on the Grand Ole Opry a whole bunch of different times. This is one that I based it around the style of D. Ford Bailey, and I kind of mashed it up with a fellow from Gaston County style, Gwen Foster, who played with the Carolina Tar Heels, and this is a little fiddle tune called There's a Brown-Skinned Girl Down the Road Somewhere. And so, like I started, I'll end it out with a little bit of harmonica, too.
You've enjoyed the Martha Bassett Show and our guests, Dom Flemons, Sarah Kate Morgan, and the Dan River Girls. What you couldn't see in that last song was Dom flipping the harmonica over while playing, much to the audience's delight. To end the night, he led the entire cast on our finale, Mama Don't Allow.
Well, Mama don't allow no music play right here. Mama don't allow no music play right here. Now we don't care what Mama don't allow, gonna play our music anyhow. Mama don't allow no music play right here. Now Mama don't allow no banjo picking right here. Mama don't allow no banjo picking right here. Rex don't care what Mama don't allow, gonna pick his banjo anyhow. Go on, get it, Rex, go on, get it, Rex. Yeah, take it to the left and up on the yeah. don't allow, gonna play the Appalachian Mountain dulcimer anyhow. Go on, get it, gal, go on, get it, yeah. Right here, don't want no mandolin right here. Fiona don't care what mama don't allow, gonna play that mandolin anyhow. Go on, get it, gal, go on, get it, gal, yeah, yeah. Right here, don't want no fiddle down here. Just don't care what mama don't allow, gonna play that fiddle anyhow. Go on, Jesse, go on, Jesse. Right here, don't want no double dog house round here. Pat Ellie don't care what mom don't allow, gonna get low, low, low anyhow. Get low, low, low. That's the way you gotta go, go, go. Around here, no, mama don't allow no harmonica around here. I don't care what mama don't allow. Mama don't allow that.
That's our show for today, folks. Thanks to all the musicians for sharing your music. This show was produced by Pat Lawrence with assistance from the Reeves Theater. Our background music today was provided by Russell Kelly.
And as always, a special thanks to our home, the historic Reeves Theater and Cafe in Elkin, North Carolina, a home for music in the heart of the foothills. You can follow the entire Reeves Theater calendar at reevestheater.com and also on Facebook.
The band tonight was Russell Kelly on electric guitar, Fiona Burdett on cello and mandolin, Rex McGee on fiddle and banjo, and Pat Lawrence, our announcer, on bass. The technical staff included Jeff Irving, Doug Williams, and Sophie Pedersen on sound, Ben Singer and Eric DeLager did our video, and Nick Bassett managed the house.
And a big thanks to Electromagnetic Radiation Recorders of Winston-Salem, North Carolina for our live broadcast mix. Support for the Martha Bassett Show also comes from these downtown Elkin businesses: the Elk Pharmacy, Yoga on Main, Coley Hall at the Liberty, Yadkin Valley Quilts, the Wisdom Table, Fruition, and Life Store Insurance.
Thanks for listening to our show. Remember, you can follow the entire schedule, listen to our past radio shows, and subscribe to our podcast at marthabassettshow.com. Until next week, take good care of yourselves and each other.